Howdy everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to grow hydroponic strawberries. I am in my grow tent under an LED light. Okay, so first things first, we need to talk about what type of strawberries you should grow. These are seascape strawberries. You can see there's a tiny berry on there. These plants are not up to snuff yet, but you want to use a day neutral variety. That's one that will bear fruit all season long. You don't want to plant a June bearing variety because you'll only get one crop. So when you're doing hydroponics, you're after an extended harvest. So these are seascape. Like I said, I've done some research. They say it's one of the best varieties there is. So, you can try that. There are others. Just make sure it's a day neutral variety, and you should be good. And if these pots look familiar to you, it's because I had to take down that 5-tier planter I had. Sometimes when you grow indoors, you have to learn how to pivot when something's not working. And this strawberry tower, although it's a great idea, and it would work outdoors pretty well, it did not work out for me indoors. If you take a look at the plants on this end, you can see they're leggy and they were not getting enough light, and actually some of them didn't even make it. What happened was I raised my light because I have a dwarf citrus tree in there, so I wanted to spread the light out, and the tower was not getting enough light, even though it was right under the light and only a few feet away. The bottom was too far, and also they were crowded in with other plants, and what I found is that the light just did not penetrate down to the bottom. So I got my lavender out of this closet, and I decided to put these in instead. So we're going to grow them hydroponically. And I just want to mention, these are in Coco Coir. Coco Coir is a hydroponic grow medium, and it may look like soil, but it is not. This is a flood and drain system. So there's a reservoir underneath, and then there's a pump, and the water pumps into the tray, and then when it's done, it drains back into the reservoir. So it's a good system. It's pretty easy to set up, and it works really well. You could use a more traditional hydroponic grow medium. You could use perlite or grow stones or leca pebbles, but I use cocoa and it works well. It does not need to be watered as much. If you're using leca, for example, you'd probably have to water every couple of hours in order to keep it wet. But with cocoa, once or twice a day, it holds enough moisture to where you're getting the soil moist, but you're not getting it soggy. And I think these plants are going to really take off once they grab hold in here. They are only about, actually this is the first 24-hour period they've been in here. So down below is my reservoir, and I think you can see there's some bubbles. I do have a little air pump in there. It kind of helps keep everything stirred up and aerated. It's optional, but I think it's a good idea. And also I have my this Milwaukee meter, So we are looking at 820 parts per million and a pH of 6.1. I do recommend, at least if you're going to do this, get a cheap TDS pen and a pH pen. You can get this meter too, but it's expensive. It costs a couple $100. Because you want to know what strength you're mixing your nutrients at. Now, as for nutrients, I used a mix called Jack's 321. It's a 3-part mix. It has their hydroponic mix, and then it has calcium nitrate, and then it also has Epsom salts for magnesium, and you mix them together in that ratio: 3 parts of the base, 2 parts of the calcium nitrate, and 1 part of the magnesium sulfate. And it's an inexpensive mix. It works really well. It has all the trace elements in it that your plants will need, and all that good stuff. And it's used by a lot of commercial greenhouses, so I recommend it. But you could use any nutrients you want. You just want to make sure they're for hydroponics. And as to these plants, I think we're going to see some pretty awesome growth from them, especially these on the side here. There's a few that didn't make it, and I replanted them. But I'm looking forward to a nice crop of strawberries in here. One of the things about this that's neat is it's all automated. Okay, my pump's on a little timer, and my lights are on a timer too. I run 12 hours on, 12 hours off. That's about all they need. I have a humidity here. It's 79 degrees, 44% humidity right now. This is an old cob, and it's LED, and it's a 250 watt thing. I recommend, if you're going to get a light, the cobs are kind of outdated. You want to get an LED board. These are, I think you can see, they're called chips on board, and what they are is a lot of little chips on a disc, and so they're kind of more like a spotlight. They were really popular when people started using LEDs, but now you want to get the lights with Samsung 301B diodes in it. It'll give you better coverage, and but the spectrum is perfect for growing plants. It's about 3000K, and they work really well. So I recommend an LED light. You put it on a timer, you run it 12 hours on, 12 hours off. They don't use a lot of electricity, so that's all good. And so this is pretty much automated. All I have to do is make sure the reservoir stays full, and that's just basically check it a couple times a week. And then everything else runs on autopilot pretty much. So it's a good setup. And as far as strawberries go, you should get a better yield in here than you would outside, because you're not dealing with pests or bugs or mold or anything like that. And typically plants do grow and yield faster in hydroponics. Now, I'm not going to say for sure that you'll get a higher yield, but typically you do. So this is a project that's not that hard to set up. I think you can see and get the gist of it. These are in a tray, and the tray has 2 fittings in it. Don't know if you can see them both. I don't know if you can see them. There's one, and the other one's kind of in back there. This one is the fill, and the other one is the drain, so it's higher. And what happens, this fills up with water as it pumps, and then the water drains back into the reservoir. So you need a tray to hold your plants in, and I use, because height is limited in here, I use a tote that I got from Home Depot. It's I believe it's rated at 20 gallons, and it's about 8 inches high, so I use that. I have some boards across the top that keep the tray raised, and then I have a cover that goes over the hole to keep the light out of the reservoir. Now you can use a tote, and you could use a tray that's raised up above it. This is just the way I set this up, but the basics are the same. You need a reservoir underneath your tray. You need a tray up on top, and it needs to be able to drain back into your reservoir. So as long as you meet those requirements, you're good to go. There's no specific size tray that you need. You know, use what you have. I could have used 2 of the bottom trays, but this one allows me to get a little bit more space in. So I bought it on Amazon, but I don't believe it's available anymore. But you can customize it like this. They sell trays. You could buy a 2x4 tray, or even a 4x8 tray if you wanted to. You just need to be able to have a place to fit it. And so this is a great setup. You can grow strawberries. You can grow just about anything in here, really. It's beginner friendly. The only thing you have to do is get your watering cycle down. Like I said, for cocoa, I would maybe water twice a day. If you're using grow stones or leca, you probably want to run your pump every 2 or 3 hours, because those don't hold a lot of moisture. I do want to mention you're going to need ventilation if you're using a closet or a grow tent. So I have this little fan here, and as you can see, I think these leaves are gently moving in the breeze, which is what you want. You don't want to beat them to death with a fan. Also, very important, you need an exhaust fan to get the warm air out if you're using a tent or a closet. In an open room, you don't need this, but inside a closet or grow tent, you're going to need a fan to exhaust it. This is an AC Infinity fan, and it's adjustable. It has a control that you can use to set the fan speed, and that's really handy to help you maintain right temperature and all that. So that's a great fan. I recommend it if you need an exhaust fan. So I do want to mention these are at about 800 parts per million on here, and ideally you'd be a little bit higher, but these are just starting out. I never seem to have to go above 1,000 to 1,200 parts per million, so use that as a guideline. The pH right now is 6.2, and that's fine. Ideal is about 5.8, but you can go up to 6.5 and it'll work. So just wanted to mention that. And with that, I'm going to say take good care of yourselves. Happy gardening. I will come back and update when these things are starting to really grow. And take good care of yourselves. Happy gardening. Don't forget, keep it green. All right. Bye-bye.